Imagine you find a deer tangled in a wire fence. You walk over, you cut the wire, you set it free, and for 1 second before it bolts, it just looks at you. And you feel it. That little spark of,
Aw, it knows I helped.
here's the uncomfortable part. To that deer, you are not a hero. You are a giant, meat-eating monster who showed up at the single worst moment of its life. And the fact that it didn't try to kill you back is where things get genuinely strange. Because when a wild animal lets a human untangle it, something is happening in its brain that scientists have been circling for years and still can't fully explain. Let's start with a fact that ruins the fairy tale a little. Animals don't need to learn to be scared of us. It's built in. And we know this because scientists have tested it under careful, controlled conditions. And the fear of humans shows up even in animals that have never met one in their entire lives. Never hunted, never chased, never so much as seen a person. The alarm is already there, pre-installed, waiting for a threat it has personally never experienced. Across dozens of wildlife studies, the same pattern keeps turning up. The reaction to humans runs deeper than anything an animal could pick up from experience. It's not a lesson passed around the herd. It's inherited, written into the wiring before the animal is even born, which is a polite scientific way of saying our species has been so reliably terrifying for so incredibly long that evolution just went ahead and added us to the factory settings. So that's the animal's starting position. Humans equals danger, no debate. Now put that animal in a trap. The moment a wild animal realizes it can't move, its body goes into a state we don't really have a human version of. Cortisol, the main stress hormone, floods the bloodstream. Adrenaline shoots up to levels that would genuinely hurt you if they lasted too long. The heart rate spikes and spikes again. And to show just how extreme this is, research published in the European Journal of Wildlife Research found that hoofed animals caught in fencing had cortisol levels higher than animals that had been shot or hit by a car. Read that again. Being tangled and stuck can stress the body harder than being shot. There's even a condition called capture myopathy, where the sheer panic of being restrained damages the muscle so badly the animal can die afterward from the stress alone, even if you free it perfectly. It was never touched by a predator. The fear did the damage. From the outside, a fully panicked, trapped animal has a specific look. Eyes wide and black, pupils blown open, muscles not just tense but locked, like a body that has decided this is the end and is spending everything it has left. Wildlife rescuers describe it almost like the animal has checked out, gone somewhere else, while its body keeps fighting on autopilot. And this is why, when a person walks toward a trapped animal to help, the animal usually loses its mind. It thrashes harder, because from its point of view, a predator is now closing in while it's completely helpless. This isn't a rescue, this is the part of the nature documentary nobody wants to watch. But then in some encounters, the opposite happens. The animal stops. Not the collapse of exhaustion, something calmer and stranger. The locked muscles loosen a little, the frantic movement fades, and the animal turns to face the human and just watches. The leading explanation is beautifully simple. Bad pattern matching, or rather good pattern matching that comes up empty. An animal's threat system is basically the world's oldest security camera. It's been trained by millions of years of evolution to recognize one specific thing, a predator attacking. And a predator attacking has a signature. Fast, direct, coming straight at you, aggressive, sudden. Now watch what a human doing a rescue looks like. Slow, careful, making weird, gentle movements. Not lunging at the animal, but fiddling with the rope, the net, the fence, talking in that soft, ridiculous voice we all use.
Hey, buddy, it's okay. Don't kick me in the face.
None of that matches the predator template. So the animal's alarm system keeps scanning for the attack and the attack never comes. The threat response doesn't get switched off exactly. It just can't find anything to grab onto. It stalls. And in that stall, the animal waits. The most jaw-dropping example of this happened in December 2005, off the coast near San Francisco. A humpback whale, about 50 feet long, roughly 50 tons, got completely wrapped in crab trap ropes. Lines cut into her mouth, her fins, her tail, with dozens of heavy traps dragging her down. She was struggling just to keep her blowhole above water. Divers went in to save her, which, let's be honest, is an insane thing to do. This is an animal that could kill you by accident. One casual flick of that tail and it's over. They knew it, and the whale went still. For about an hour, while 4 divers with knives worked all over her body, cutting rope after rope, she held position at the surface. She didn't panic. And here's the detail that gives everyone chills. At several points, she shifted and rotated her body, seeming to reposition herself in ways that gave the divers better access to the ropes. A 50-ton animal choosing to hold still while strangers with blades crawled across her. When the last line was finally cut, she didn't just leave. According to the divers, she swam a slow loop and came back around to each one of them, gently nudging them with her head, one by one. One of those divers, James Mosquito, told the San Francisco Chronicle it honestly felt like being thanked. Now, scientists get very twitchy about the word gratitude, and for good reason. But here's a fact that keeps the door open. When neuroscientists Patrick Hoff and Estelle van der Gucht examined humpback brains, they found spindle neurons, special brain cells linked to empathy and fast social decisions. We used to think these cells were an exclusive human club, later letting in great apes and elephants. Turns out whales had them too, and had them long before we did. So whatever that whale was doing, she has the brain hardware to be doing something real. Whether she actually was is a question the data just can't reach. Then there are elephants, baby elephants pulled out of mud pits, and whales have been seen, after they're freed, reaching back and touching their rescuers with the tip of the trunk before wandering off. And an elephant's trunk is not a casual tool. It has something like 40,000 muscles and fingertip-level sensitivity. When an elephant deliberately reaches out and touches you slowly, that's not an accident. That's the elephant equivalent of really looking at something. And elephants are not exactly running on an empty brain. In a landmark study, researchers Joshua Plotnick, Diana Race, and Franz de Waal showed that elephants can recognize themselves in a mirror, one of the rarest cognitive tricks in the animal kingdom, shared with only a handful of species. They mourn their dead, returning to the bones of family members and touching them gently, sometimes years later. They hold grudges and hold friendships across decades. So the idea that an elephant could tell the difference between the human who trapped it and the human who freed it, that's well within their range. They're not missing the equipment. They might just not be telling us. Even the wolves do it. Researchers have found wolves in leg traps snapping at anyone who came close, exactly like the biology predicts. But in some cases, a person stopped moving and just held steady eye contact. And that matters, because a predator about to kill you doesn't usually sit there calmly staring into your soul. Steady, non-aggressive eye contact is a signal that sits outside the "I am hunting you" playbook. In more than one account, the wolf slowly stopped fighting, sat down, and watched the humans work. And when it was freed, it paused, looked back once, and trotted off into the trees like the world's most emotionally complicated dog. So do wild animals know when we're trying to help them? The honest, slightly annoying answer is we don't fully know. What we can measure is that certain smart animals, whales, elephants, wolves, genuinely lower their panic when a calm human works around them without acting like a predator. And afterward, some of them do things they have no survival reason to do at all, turning toward the rescuer, touching them, staying close for a few minutes when every instinct says run. What we can't get at is the inside of the moment, what it's actually like to be that wolf at the tree line, watching the people who freed it walk away, what that whale was really doing, gliding from diver to diver in the cold, whether it meant anything to her or whether it means something to us because we're animals too, running our own pattern recognition. And the pattern we keep desperately finding out there is ourselves. Maybe one day better tools will give us a cleaner answer. Or maybe the most honest thing is to just sit with the mystery. Because look at what actually happened in every one of these stories. An animal made a choice we still can't explain. It chose to trust the single scariest creature it has ever encountered. At the exact moment it had the most to lose. It held still while something with knives leaned in close. We keep asking whether they know we're trying to help. But maybe the better question is whether we would have been brave enough to hold that still. The animals understand something in those moments. They just haven't decided to tell us what, and honestly, that might be the most human thing about them.